What's up guys, this is Ace of Spades, welcome back to my channel where we will learn how to color line arts in Photoshop. Now for those of you who do not want to waste time and want to jump right to the section where I will be teaching you how to do it in Photoshop, please follow the link down into the description section. Instead, if you wanna chit chat a little bit and see how can you actually start from zero, what you need, which are the softwares that you should buy, or which are the tablets that I will suggest, just stay tuned because we will talk a little bit about that here. So as I told you, we will discuss about starting from zero. So let's assume that you have no knowledge of what digital coloring is, how it's done, and you wanna know what should I buy. Basically, what you will need first, it's a software that will allow you to color, manipulate, and modify your line arts, either if it's a draw or an illustration that you have put into the scanner, or if you download some image on the internet. All the softwares that supports layers as like Photoshop or GIMP or Corel Painter, they will do just fine. So according to your budget, you can decide different softwares. Now, the most professional one, of course, will cost much more, and I will suggest to you to do that kind of investment if you plan to make a career out of this. While if you want just to try it and have fun, just download GIMP, which is a free software that supports the layer and will allow you to experiment a little bit. If you want to take it a little bit more seriously, but still you don't want to invest a lot of money in Photoshop, then you might want to take a look at ArtRage. I actually have used it a little bit and it has some amazing simulations of brushes or different kind of media where you can draw. And you might want to also to check out Corel Painter. In this tutorial we will use Photoshop, but I repeat, these concepts, especially for the basic coloring techniques, they can be applied into different kind of softwares. Next question is, do I need a tablet or can I do it with a mouse? I would say that it depends upon the technique and the style that you're looking for. For example, for very basic coloring like cell shading, you actually do not need a tablet. You can do it also with a mouse. However, if you do this as a job and you want to be serious about it because you need to be fast and productive, you will have a lot of clients coming back to you, then you actually might want to invest into a tablet. I bought a tablet 6 years ago. I made an investment of 100 euros and it paid off a lot. Of course, you do not need to spend a lot of money into a tablet. Don't get hung up to the idea that you need a Wacom Intuos Pro or a Cintiq or these other fancy and big tablets. In my case, when I started 6 years ago, I bought a Wacom Bamboo. At that time, they had this series, which now it's called Intuos Draw, Intuos Photo, Intuos Comic, but at that time it was called Wacom Bamboo. And here it is, the tablet. It's very cheap, it's very simple. I think I paid something like 80 euros and it lasts forever. It has been 6 years that I've been using it and I never had a single problem with it. I started with a computer that had Windows 7 and now I'm on Windows 10, and this tablet had never problem with drivers. So Wacom did a very good job with customer support, and actually it's built like a tank. The beauty of it is that it doesn't need any batteries. So you simply hook it up through the USB to your computer and you're ready to go. Basically, why would you need a tablet and what a tablet does? You can think of a tablet like a virtual paper where you can draw with a pen, and when you move the pen and press on it, then the cursor of the computer will move. The beauty of the tablet is that the pen is pressure sensitive, and the sensitivity of the pressure can then regulate different parameters of your brushes, like the size of the brush or the richness of the color, the darkness of the color. We will see later into the tutorial, but these are the main advantages of the tablets. And for doing more elaborate styles of painting like soft shading or real digital painting, you definitely need one of these. Now, which kind of tablet do you want to buy? It's up to you. I personally suggest the Wacom, and I have to say that Wacom didn't pay me anything for suggesting them like this, but it's just that I'm so happy about this tablet that I feel like I wanna suggest it to you. Nowadays, Wacom does a different kind of basic line called Intuos, and you have Intuos Draw, Intuos Photo, Intuos Comic, and Intuos Art. Now, the Intuos Draw, it goes on Amazon for about 60 euros and it's very cheap, but if you can spend a little bit more, then you might just want to go for the Intuos art or the Intuos comic. That will come with softwares that will help you to draw, so you don't have to buy either Photoshop license or other softwares. Now, third suggestion to start into the digital coloring or digital art world is to join a community. I personally joined DeviantArt, which is an amazing community of artists. There are so many amazing people over there, which is just mind-blowing. All the best artists that you might think about, they are there and they have profiles. DeviantArt, I totally suggest to check you out. I have my profile on it, you can visit me, you can follow me, you can check whatever I'm doing. But the good thing about DeviantArt is that it has an active community of users that are just waiting to connect with you, receive suggestions, give suggestions. It's an amazing place to start. In addition to get inspired and get suggestions, DeviantArt has also a forum section that features also people that's looking for hiring someone. In the world, there are a lot of people which are just collectors of arts. So they commission people to get drawing, and once they get the black and white line, probably they want to also have it colored. And most of the time, people that draws either do not color and vice versa. It's very rare to find artists that can go from the black and white image to the full colored image. Therefore, what these people will do is that they will get this drawing and then look for digital colorists. And actually, I got a lot of jobs over there. So you can really build up your network over there. And I strongly suggest you to check DeviantArt. It's an amazing place, so good place to start. But now enough talking, let's jump to Photoshop so that you can see how you can color your line art. So here we are, my friends, and now, first of all, where would you take some line arts to practice? Well, you just go on DeviantArt, and if you just look into the search box for the word line art or inks, you will come up with an endless list of drawings that you can download and you can practice on it. Most of the time, the artists will give you the permission to download a low resolution file of their drawing, and then you can open this up in Photoshop. In this case, I chose this wonderful drawing from Alex Owens. He has some amazing drawings and illustrations, and what I love here is that he does them with pencil and he scans them. In this case, this will be pretty similar to whatever you will do if you will have a drawing and you put in a digital scanner, and then you will come up with a pencil drawing that will be scanned and digital. So you can download this and open up in Photoshop. In this case, you will end up with something like this. Now, you have to do first two things. Check the resolution of the drawing and bring it up to 300, making sure that you have nice details. You can select this method of magnification with keeping details, and then you have to separate your black line art from the white background, because in this case, if you will just take any brush and you want to color on it, you will color over your drawing, and you don't want to do that. For separating them, just go into the channel section, hold Command on the Mac or Control on the Windows and left click, and this will select all the whites in your drawing. Then you take any selection tool and you invert the selection, or you can just go here to the selection tab and press invert over here. Now that we have selected all the blacks in our drawing, we want to transfer them to a new layer that we will call line art, or simply lines. Take the bucket tool with the black solid color and just paint into the selection. We have transferred our line arts onto a transparent layer, and they are separated from everything else. Now you can create a new background layer that you will place below your lines, and you can fill it gray because it will help you to do a better judgment upon the colors. And now that we have our lines separated from our background, you will place all of your colors into the middle. Now we will create a level where we will color the skin of this girl. So you can take any color you want now, and when you color the skin, you will not color over your line arts, and this is amazing. Now the first thing that you have to do is to lay down the basic colors. Let's say that we chose to have the color of the skin of this girl, of this basic, and then we want to have some lighter color for the highlights and even brighter color for the very bright part of the skin. And also we want to have some color for the deep shadows. So this is our series of color. Let's choose our mid-tone, which is our base color, and what you have to do now is to simply color the parts of our skin. Now there are different techniques. You can go in with a brush, as I'm doing, but this is very time consuming and very imprecise. Or you can have your polygonal lasso tool, which is very good, and you can do it also with the mouse, where you just select all the parts that share the same base layer, for example, in this case. And then once you create the selection, you simply fill this area with the bucket tool. But the lasso tool is not convenient when you have curves, like in this example, with this beautiful leg. So you should have your pen tool instead of your lasso tool. So you select your pen tool, and basically you can easily create the curves and follow the legs. And this will speed up dramatically your process of laying the base color, which is called flattening the image. And then you go on, and whenever you are happy, when you close the path, you can create, you right click, and then you create selection. And now you will have a selection that you can fill in the same way with your base color. I have already done it, and here you can see I've created a layer for the skin, a layer for the dress, and a layer for her hair. And I will lock the transparency of each layer so that I cannot color outside it. Because for example, if I will color with this blue and I don't have the transparency locked, and I want to say, okay, I want to have this highlight, you see, I will start to color outside my base layer. While if I lock the transparency, I can only color into this blue layer, no matter where I'm going. Very convenient. Now what we want to do is we have to decide where the light source is coming. Let's assume, for the sake of simplicity, that we want our light source to come from here. Now, once you decide this, you have to think about the shape of the object that you are going to color. In this case, let's think about the shape of this arm. For example, you have the elbow, so you have the upper part of the arm with the elbow. This is the elbow. Then you have the triceps of this girl, and then you have the shoulder of this girl, and then you have the part of the lateral breast, and then you have the rib cage. This will be three-dimensional, so inside the elbow you will have an upper part, and we have this side, and you will have this side. As long as for the arm, which is kind of cylindrical, it will be divided into parts, with one part in light, one part into shadow. Same thing for the shoulder. This part of the shoulder will be hit by light, while this part of the shoulder will be in shadow. Same thing for this one. This will be in shadow because it's behind the arm. And the rib cage, you will have actually one part which will be in light, one part which will be in shadow. Same thing for the breast. You will have, being this spherical, will be one part in light and this other part in shadow. Same thing for this other breast. This part will be in highlight and this part of the sphere will be in shadow. Same thing again for the face. You will have one part of the face in highlight, one part of the face in shadow, and in detail, one part of the nose will be in highlight, one part of the nose will be in shadow. So you have constantly to think about where the light is falling, where is the shadow, where is the highlight. You can exercise just how I'm doing. Take whatever photo, whatever painting you like, and start to subdivide everything into forms and see where the light comes and see how it impacts the forms. Now that we have done this and we know more or less where the light will be and where the shadow will be, it's time to color. So we go from our mid-tone to a lighter tone, and let's go pretty general. Let's say that in his arm there is one part which will be in highlight. Let's say this part of the arm will be in highlight and this part will be in shadow. Same, this part of the breast will be in highlight, this part will be in shadow. Maybe we can enlarge this. Same for her chest. This other breast, this part will be in highlight, this part will be in shadow. Remember, always follow the forms. For the face, This part of the face will be in highlight, while the other will be in shadow. And then once you're happy with your selection, you paint with the bucket tool the light on your subject. And here you go. And now we do the same, but for the shadows. So let's say that this part of the arm is in shadow, as we said before. This part, it's a little bit darker because this breast is spherical. And same here, there will be some shadow because the light will come from here, and this breast here will cast some shadow on this. Now this whole part of the arm will be in shadow because it's covered by her head, by her hair, and the light coming from here will never reach this part. Also here, this arm, all this part will be in shadow, and again on her face, this part will be in deep shadow, so we will paint it like that. Also the lower part of the nose is in shadow, and under her lips there's a cast shadow by her lips, and also here between the part of the forehead and the eye, this part is usually in shadow. And also the hair following on her face will cast some deep shadow on her forehead. And now that we are happy, we go from our base color to our darker color for the shadows, and we paint with the bucket tool into these areas. And now we want to add an additional layer of light, so we go on, and you bring more details in now. For example, the elbow, we say that it has three parts. One part it's facing the light, another part it's facing the light, and also the tricep, one part it's facing the light, and also the shoulder, this part only, the outest one, it's facing the light. For the breast, only this upper part will have hard highlight, and for the nose is split in two sides. One side it's in shadow, and this side it's directly facing the light. Also here on the forehead we will have more light coming in, and also on her face you will have that these lips will be in highlight, and also her cheek with the upper part of her mouth will be in highlight, and also her chin. And in this one, this part of the arm will be in highlight. And now you start from your highlight color, which is this one, and you go a little bit brighter and a little bit warmer, not too much, like this. And then you paint in the color. And here you go, and then you go on and on and on. Now, cell shading is this technique where you block out an area with selection and you fill it with either lighter color or darker color. It's very fast, it's very simple, it helps you to understand where is the light and how it transitions into the shadows. And it looks like crap when you zoom in, but when you zoom out, it actually makes sense. Now you see how this arm starts to be three-dimensional, and the face has acquired some depth. And also the breasts, you see how they come out as round. But sometimes you are not happy with how hard these edges are. So what you can do to achieve a more refined look, you take the smudge tool and you start to actually blend together the transition area with the smudge tool. And the smudge tool will actually make everything look more smooth. But remember that sometimes hard edges are needed, so you don't need to extremely blur everything, only some of the things. And now when you zoom out, this whole area, you see how soft will it be? Now this is very raw, you just need to practice and make it much better than I'm doing here just for the sake of demonstrating the things. But you can start by building light and shadows, and then whenever you feel the need that there should be a soft edge, like on her breast, you can just smudge the areas. Let's, for example, make her eyes white here. Actually not white, but of a light gray. What you can do, instead of selecting the area and painting it with the bucket, you can select the area and just painting with the brush. And we want to give her some nice and deep green eye. Now as regards the hair do not come as single strings of hair as in reality, but here they come rather in chunks. You see here there is a big chunk of hair, there's a big chunk of hair over here, another chunk here, big chunk of hair here, this other one. So you just have to follow the indication of the artist. And what you could do is you divide these big chunks in smaller and smaller parts. For example, here you have these chunks, and then you simply follow the flow of the hair. You have to be creative, so you can combine different shapes, and you just go a little bit smaller than the artist has drawn the hair. Here, you can go here, you can go here, and then you just keep going whenever you feel you are led to. And then once you are done, you go from the base color that you choose to a lighter one, and you fill it with the bucket tool. Of course, you have to go on the layer that you have designed. So this is my hair layer, which is locked, and here you go. And then you proceed with that by choosing even smaller chunks of hair, which will be thinner, because the highlights are thinner and rare in the hair, while most of the hair, they are of the base tone. Now here you don't have to remember where the light comes from for now, because you're still building the forms and the shapes of the hair. And then you take the highlight color and you go even brighter now. And again. And now that you want to give the final punch, the final highlights, by going even higher, you start to remember that the light was coming from top right. So you only go on the top right of the chunks of hair that you designed, like here, here, only on the right part, not into the dark part. Very, very careful to not overdo with the highlights, because they have to be very rare. And then you simply paint everything. And now it looks like crap like this, but look what happens when you zoom out. See how nice the hairs and the skin look like? And actually you don't need any smooth transition in the hair, because when you go on a higher level of details, it will create the transitions for you, like in this case. And this is how you color the hair. Basically, you divide them in sub-chunks, and you go on, you apply the same technique to the drawing, you apply the same technique to whatever objects you have. So just remember, think about the shapes, think about the light, exercise your eye with photos, with other paintings, with other illustration. This, it's everything. And if you have any questions, please write down into the comment section or just send me a message. I would be super happy to interact with whatever of you. So here we are. This was just a little hint on one of the techniques that you can use to color your line arts. Now all you need to do is practice, practice and practice. 3 suggestions that I will give you. First, if you don't know how to color something, just spend time to study reality. Study how things are in reality. If you don't know how to color a hand, just spend time to look at your own hand and see how the light falls on it, which are the angles, which are the shadows, the hard edges, the soft edges, so that you can take suggestions from the real life. Another good thing to do is to actually look at other artists or look at painters. Painters back in time and nowadays, they are amazing. With just few brush strokes, they were able to create reality, to create light and shadows in a very detailed and amazing way. Of course, when you zoom in near a painting of Monet, it just looks like a mess. But when you look it from a distance, then everything makes sense. And this is a little bit what cel shading does. When you look at it from a close perspective, then it just looks like crap, because you don't see any smooth transitions. You just see this bunch of squares or circles full of hard light or hard shadows. But when you zoom out to the figure, actually everything makes sense and you are able to perceive the 3D perspective that you printed inside your drawing. And now, third suggestion, just write me, just ask me questions, tell me what you would like me to cover into the next videos. If you have a particular desire or to know about a technique or how to color something in particular, just drop me a message, leave a comment, make sure to subscribe to get the updates and also activate the little bell near the subscribe button so that you are sure every time I upload something you get the notification. And for now, it's everything. I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to give you good suggestions. In the meantime, practice and I'll bet you see you next time. Take care.